Yeah, and well, last time we talked with Speed, it's his favorite hero. He'd love to play it. He'd love to pull it out, but that's where another big benefit of the Viper and the DogChamp do have last picks, so they're going to do a last pick draft here. Keeps you guessing. Could be your mid laner, could be your 3, could be your 5 if we really need to see it from Bloody 9 here, even though we have seen very few of the Viper 5s nowadays, even in SA. But that's also where you do have to solve the issue that comes with this Viper in any core position. You need lockdown. You need someone else who's going to be there for you. You need someone who's going to stop them from TPing out right underneath your noses. And the Wyvern certainly isn't the best choice for that role, but that's where in the rest of the draft we'll probably see something more from DogChamp. But Wyvern getting a lot of love. A lot of teams trying it out. 10 seconds on that Arctic Burn certainly is a lot more damage. A lot more damage you can literally get with that Arctic Burn. Get maybe another 150, 200 in those early stages of the game. It's just a very nice spell now.
Yeah, that was always kind of the thing with the Wyvern. We all know the value that Winter's Curse brings to the table, and that really didn't fluctuate much. It was just prior to where we sort of stand today, the power of the Winter's Curse was not enough to make up for maybe a little bit of lack of damage and harassment capabilities earlier on in the game. So teams maybe doubling back, looking at the Wyvern again, still a strong ult, but now you're stronger with the burn, so can fit it in to a few more strategies here. And on the other side of things, Wildcard gonna grab themselves the CK. Going back to that point that Mariano made the other day when we interviewed him, they were still sort of looking at where this hero stands now with some of those changes, but more and more teams are sort of dipping their toes back in the water of the CK. The position versatility is still there, the damage potential is still there, so it's still very very valuable. Wildcard sort of showing that with.
Yeah, and even though CK is certainly still a very strong hero, still very banned over on, again, the Chinese tournament. The Chinese regional finals are still going on today. Uh, the hero versus both Viper and Wyvern is a little bit of a question mark in the back of my mind. Of course, with that Nether Toxin on the ground, you get your passive disabled, you don't have that extra Chaos Strike damage, you certainly feel a little bit limited in that regard, as the normal build on CK is just 114 pretty much here. At the same time, that curse is brutal versus these illusions, even though it's not providing all too much clear. You have to constantly be worried of that curse is going to go down, and you could very easily either kill yourself or one of your teammates. So picking it up here is a little bit interesting, I think, for Wildcard. Not to mention with the damage reduction of that creep hero damage on the Chaos Strike, Roche is a lot slower. I feel like as a hero, CK still is a very good offlaner, but in that flexible position as a pause one, your Roche capability is much worse. It's where you really do need to pick up another hero. If you do put it as the one, your offlaner needs to give you a little bit more damage, maybe some anti-armor, something like that. There's certainly other problems now that you have to fix when you do pick up this CK. I just hope if we do see it slot into that offlane position, he has a hell of a lane, because you are laning versus that Wyvern most likely here, and that Wyvern is going to burn you. It's going to feel like a little bit of a struggle in the laning stage.
See what position that CK ends up taking up here as we are getting to the back end of the bans in phase 2. Wildcard taking away the ogre. It's a bit of an interesting one. We have seen the hero picked up, but teams very rarely view it as a big enough threat to actually move it. But well, ogre taken away. DogChamp respond with the ban on the Ember Spirit, and shall see where we go from here. Wildcard, well, they do still need that mid option for themselves, right? So DogChamp sort of looking ahead there, and there is still technically the possibility that the Viper could hold down that mid role for them, so they don't really be overly concerned taking some of those mid options out of their own.
Yeah, and well, uh, easiest thing you could do for DogChamp right now would just be to very plainly pick up a 4. But uh, in both the Viper and the Wyvern, you'd want a hero up in front. You could see them going for something like the Tusk right now, just because you do have that save for the Chaos Bolt landing, and just having anyone who can not only break up the stun onto the Bane, but also pulling whoever is getting gripped into that snowball is pretty nice for you. But they need something. I think the Tusk would be the easy one right now. Viper Tusk is a super strong lane. But no, they switch things up, and this also puts a little bit of a question mark now on really everything for DogChamp. Very flexible hero is going to be one of those 3 to 5 range, but uh, That is not nearly as balanced as I would have liked, and that's a slam Divine Lamba Timbersaw, one of the best in the region. I'm a little concerned right now for DogChamp.
Timbersaw picked up. Snapfire, obviously, with it is one of the more annoying supports to have to deal with, and that does mean now that that should be Yamsun on the CK, which pointed out maybe some of the concerns running him as that carry, but with a Snapfire and a Timbersaw also in the lineup, you don't need to rely, or hopefully you won't need to rely as much on that Chaos Knight to do all of your damage. You are going to have other options to throw into those team fights.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to consider what's going on. And Ursa, okay, you get something. Really, whenever you see the Timbersaw in that position, I think the most obvious ones are going to be your Ursas, your Monkey Kings to have anything really laning wise versus the Timbersaw. At the same time, though, I'm still just looking at these first three picks from DogChamp, and I just wonder if they're happy right now. It If you want the balance in the lanes, and I do think they want this Wyvern to be a 5 position, then Wyvern Ursa, that's a pretty good lane. Viper Tree Protector, a little bit weird, but you still have that really strong melee hero to go in front of the Viper. It's just not really the hero I think I expected coming in from them. It's where Wildcard, they might be playing a little bit more typical, especially for their draft style, but I just hope DogChamp are going to excel in their lanes here, because if they do start to fall behind, yet again, I think Wildcard will just not only outfarm their opponents, but also just be much more adept at killing them. And we talk about strong side lanes for Esk to play around in. I mean, you've got Timbersaw, Snapfire, and Chaos Knight Bane on the other side. Any lane is gankable for Esk.
And this is where we sort of come back to some of those mid lane bans. The Storm and the Ember are both taken away. The Leshrac was just removed by Wildcard themselves, but you still have some mobile options to work with, some heroes that are going to be able to sort of make those ganks happen for you. So if you're DogChamp, yeah, what are the ones that you don't want to deal with the most? They ban out the Puck. Could see maybe something like the Queen of Pain ban out from them as well, just in terms of a high damage, high mobility here.
Yeah, and that's where Wildcard, most likely for Esk here, probably going to pick up a Raged hero, just because, well, picking melee heroes in the mid lane when you don't have last overall pick is always a little bit scary, but think we could very possibly see the Invoker band come out next. Kind of just makes sense, like you said, Queen of Pain, a very Esk hero, because he does like those lane dominators regardless of whatever matchup he ends up playing. Meanwhile, for Fade, I feel like he would also kind of like to pick up that Queen of Pain. The Void Spirit band, though, that is interesting, because a hero that we always talk about and we always try to consider is that Kunkka when we get this late into the drafts. And I feel like if you're going to pick Kunkka, and Kunkka is one of those melee heroes that you can actually pick in the down position here of the picks, why ban out Void Spirit? That doesn't really make all too much sense to me. So I'm trying to gauge right now, what would Esk play here that doesn't want to play versus Void Spirit, as the Invoker ban also flies through? I'm very intrigued actually with what they're actually going to pick here. Of course, at the same time, maybe they pick something super boring. Maybe it's just going to be very typical, and we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because they could just go for the Quap, and I think that would be our hero. But at the same time, I hope maybe with that Void, see something interesting coming out.
Yeah, the Queen of Pain could be an option for them. Something in the back of my mind would still like to see maybe even a swing onto a Bat Rider at this point, but it seems a little bit less likely. That's not a hero that I had been considering. It is a ranged one for them, though, as they get the Wind Ranger, and maybe that's not as burst-oriented as some of the options that we were looking at, but the damage will still be there.
And covers their bases, which I think is very important here, because there is the possibility of that Viper at the end of our draft here going wherever. And I think now you do lean more heavily into what do we want to do versus our Bane CK lane. Now they're the ones to pick Queen of Pain, which will certainly make Fade much happier. Fade gets a pretty nice matchup versus the Quap. But at the same time, I think that is just Esk being very cautious in the draft here with Sammy Boy going for this pick. They didn't want to get Viper. They didn't want to pick something that would be too weak in the lanes here. And they really do balance themselves out pretty nicely.
So, with that, we are going to get to see Speed play his Viper, so that will certainly be interesting, but I don't know. Overall, this really does seem like Wildcard just have something that's going to fight better, going to be sort of durable. They have more options in terms of where their damage is coming from compared to DogChamp.
Yep, and that's also where, well, you in this wind, you've got one of those very annoying, one of those displacement heroes versus the Viper. And as we usually see with Viper, if you're just a little bit too far forward in lane, if you are going to get punished, it's so simple. It's so easy for S to just TP, hit the shackle shot, walk speed all the way back to the tower, or more likely, take him out. It's a real mid laner that can just make those rotations in between on both sides, to be honest. And that's also where DogChamp, with Yarn locking in that Winter Wyvern, and that's what made the most sense to me. We'll see if they do decide to run the double ranged lane. Of course, throwing out the balance that we usually really favor so heavily in these drafts, but it's where maybe they just want to try and give Yamsun the worst lane possible. But it's just where two very squishy ranged heroes versus a CK, you could almost envision Yamsun getting kills in that lane.
Getting underway just yet here, because we do have a bit of a pause at the start, so ever so slight delay, but should be getting into it relatively quickly. Sammy immediately asking what the pause is about. I mean, if there was anyone to immediately ask for the reason, kind of makes sense, but doesn't get an answer. So, wonder what is going on DogChamp's side, if this is just maybe some early sort of start lag, still kind of rears its head around every once in a while. We did have a pause for a cat earlier today. Could be something along those lines as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're being really tactical on DogChamp's side. They're considering what they want to do with their lanes. They're considering their starting items. Everybody's just trying so hard to win, or not. Maybe they're just completely silent in the Discord right now.
That would be something if they just pause, give no reason, and then just sit there for like 30 seconds to see how long it takes for someone to call them out. And okay, yeah, Sammy does question again, and it looks like they're good to go. So we will never know. It will remain a mystery for the rest of time. But you get to get game 2 underway now. Despite the voice line coming out, okay, there it is. Never mind, it was just a little bit delayed. They do, in fact, go for the smoke gank. So let's see how aggressively they want to push here. If this is going to be all the way across the river, they're drawing the line in that direction. But the problem is that that line also takes them directly away from where DogChamp actually are.
It is a late smoke on the DogChamp side, though, so they can cut in towards this mid area a lot easier. But that's unfortunately where Wildcard having this word, it is very, very safe. Both captains, I think, drawing into each other, kind of know what's going on right now. And they're actually going to hook back towards that mid lane, I think, mainly to defend, to see if there is going to be that early ward placed. But, oh, Sammy, you saw it being on the ramp, but oh boy.
That's not a chase that you want. Sammy's just going to get completely hit up at the start, buys some time with the brain sap, but not enough. Now, Alexo may die as well here. The burn is really going to start ticking him low. It's not quite enough for the kill, but DogChamp got what they wanted. First blood into their hands, and that's a little bit of a weird one, because as you said, yeah, Sammy, he saw Bloody Nine sort of step down off that ramp for a moment and then pushes his way forward, but, well, I don't know. If Bloody Nine's there, he almost certainly has backup, and very much the case.
Yeah, at the very least, they do get to kind of reset. They get to walk back. I'm just surprised they didn't stick closer towards that tier 1, because usually that's what we've been seeing from these teams. Usually a Dire hero walks up, tries to see if there's a Radiant ward on that right side, and if there isn't, well, then they don't care about it, and they just hold onto their sentry, and if there is, then we usually see the ward get denied. But, it's just a kill, just a first blood. We'll have to see it now what these teams are able to do in the laning stage.
So this is looking like a tri-lane setup from Wildcard. Alexo has made his way all the way over, so might just leave the Timbersaw by himself and try to get aggressive here. If they can put pressure onto Speed in these early levels, he is not very durable, so they're going to give this a go. They get the Chaos Bolt, they get the Cookie Stun, they get the Nightmare down. Speed is in some trouble. Yarn cannot help him because he has Arctic Burn at level 1, and there you go. Tri-lane strikes fast and hard, and yeah, Speed's going to have some issues here until he gets a couple of levels if this tri-lane is going to persist.
Yeah, the problem is, even if they bring the Treant down here, as Yarn might just be dead. Yeah, he is super dead. Maybe gets the courier? Okay. I mean, it's still not the same, and now you look over at Speed. Unfortunately for him, the wave is pushing in, but Yamsun has done a perfect job of aggroing these creeps onto the range, so double range gets denied. Even though wave's forward, Speed is still very scared. There's going to be some nice trading onto the Bane, but Level 1 Viper is not the most damage. He gets the 5 stacks at the very least to make it feel even more worth it, but a lot of mana you have to expend here, and I feel like they're just going to keep holding this, because really, Speed has no business being up in the lane. They'd love to get a small camp pull going right now, but if Speed takes these creeps underneath tower, then he's back to really not laning.
Hmm. And on the other side of the map, you have Timbersaw laning against two melee heroes who have little to no non-physical damage to really break through reactive armor. So Devi may have to be a little bit concerned later on when the Ursa maybe has points in the overpowered as ult, but for now, who cares? He can run this. He can go 1v2 in this lane, so the tri-lane has room to operate.
Yeah, and really, I mean, Timbersaw versus Ursa, it's never been a bad Timbersaw lane. It's where maybe the Monkey King and the Jingu. It's also not a bad Timbersaw lane. But I guess that's the problem with this Timbersaw hero, right? There are just not many bad lanes for
Right.
Timbersaw, even though you try to put him down as much as you can. But it really is where Devi, especially once he gets a few levels, that Timber Chain Harass comes out. And you do wonder when that rotation from the bottom lane will come, and eventually it does. But in the meantime, as long as B9 isn't getting that small camp off, well, Device just got to get his 6 so quickly. Snipes a courier too. Just neat stuff from the Timber.
Is going to be able to have some fun in this lane, even if he doesn't necessarily ever have an opportunity to kill anyone off. But looking back bot, see the next round of aggression comes out because the supports have hit level 2. So you have the Scatter Blast now for some damage and slow, and look at this. They have to move together,
Oh,
Speed and
Speed.
Yarn, and they're not even going to be able to get away. Just gets pulled back in. There's a nice Cold Embrace to try and buy some time, but the problem is, well, the same problem that it's always been with the Cold Embrace. You put someone under, but they don't get to move. So he's still stuck in the exact same situation. Cold Embrace ends, and Yamsun finds himself another kill. His second of the game, and this tri-lane continues to just really ruin this lane for DogChamp.
Yeah, and look at that. Tanks the wave forward, gets the large camp pull off because the small camp had already been farmed by the supports. That's why they got their level 2. There's just some great Dota play from these support players in the bottom lane. It really is just that simple. Gonna lose these ranged creeps now as well. Alexa gets the deny. The Bane feels the need to rotate to the bottom water. I mean, everything in Wildcard's laning stage is just flawless.
Meanwhile, back in on the Timbersaw, look at that. He's just fine in this lane, playing in between the towers now as well, so I mean, it's all coming up wild card right now. If there's any sort of silver lining for DogChamp, Stonebank is farming well still. That's the one thing the Timbersaw is not necessarily going to be able to do, and in the middle lane, you've got a decent start for Fade as well, so your off lane sucks, really. That's kind of the nicest way to put it, but at least the other two lanes are doing all right for this point.
Yep, should be fine. It's unfortunate. I think getting that water rune sniped out from underneath Esk is something the Wyvern has been able to do, put a little bit more pressure on, but there you
Speed's
go.
gonna die
Speed.
again.
Oh, no, he's good. He's good for now, but this is still just a lot of resources they have to expend. It's where the Cold Embrace is quite a nice skill versus that CK, and again, the Nether Toxin on the ground, you don't have that Chaos Strike damage. That's where the fight could get a little bit too difficult for them to actually make happen, but that's where as soon as Sammy Boy is back, then the Nightmare could very easily lead to another kill on the Viper. They'd like to get another pull, though. The lane is a little bit too far up, and they did get a kill. Stonepick got the dive. And now Sammy Boy's dislodged, so this is something to play with.
And well, that was the moment I was sort of alluding to. He doesn't have his ult yet, but once he has that overpower, if you catch the Timbersaw with those armor stacks resetting, then the attack speed can potentially just sort of punch through it, and that's exactly what Stonebank does. So he is finally able to get some sort of aggressive move there onto that Timbersaw, and I wonder if Sammy actually stays in this lane or not. He TP's in too late to help his buddy, but do you want to give up the tri-lane? Do you want to give up the chance to put further pressure onto the Viper and maybe find more kills to keep the Timbersaw safe? Because the Timbersaw right now, that was a setback, but really nothing more than that.
Yeah, no. Timber is still going to go back to the lane.
Oh
Sonic
boy.
Wave mid fade. He's looking for the soul kill, but oh no. Esk is still in no position to really help out here, but with the setup from the Shackle in 3 seconds, if Esk goes for this, he will die. So I think we're just going to see that reset happen instead, but oh boy. And that's your Sonic Wave down now. So unfortunately, if you were ever going to make some poke play up towards that top lane, try to get another kill underneath Devi's belt, I don't think you're going to see that easy rotation from the Quap anymore. And Devi is 6, so
And now he can maybe fight back a little bit more against Stonebank, but, well, going to be an interesting way that this lane turns out, because if Bloody Nine comes back up here, well, it's a Timbersaw. He can do some rough things to both of the heroes in that lane. Now is happening to Yamsun down bot, very nearly taken down. He was able to fall back, though, and Lexo passes him the salve. He should be just fine, but this lane evens out a little bit with Sammy not consistently in here.
Yeah, and that's where, without the Bane, it's the forcing move from Stonebank on the top lane, really getting that solo kill that kind of destabilized things, and that's where giving all that solo XP, you were constantly in a dual lane, and I think Yamsun, did not get lucky. Got the 2-second stun, but he's just super dead, and Alexo could also be dead. If he has a Mango, can you give any mana over to speed? He cannot, unfortunately, so they won't be able to keep anything going forward, but I'll take that every day of the week.
Managed to get themselves a kill onto the CK by the time the supports come in. Really nothing they can do, so very nicely done by DogChamp. They lose Yaren's courier on the back end there as Sammy gets a bit of a snipe out, but really going to be a major concern. This might be, though, where's Alexo in this situation? His way over. Got the cookie. They don't need the cookie, really. It could just be the Scatterblast, or maybe not. Yaren with the Cold Embrace is going to make him work for it, but this actually buys time for Yamsun to get back in, so the CK is the one to find the kill.
Very happy. Very happy if you're Yamsun right now.
Well, Bloody Nine not very happy up top. Devi is just going to try and track him down. Chakram's coming back up. Gonna throw it out there for the damage, and yeah, you're a Treant Protector against a Timbersaw. It's kind of Devi's job at that point, so able to find himself that kill. However, if you're DogChamp, this is the point where Stonebank is going to maybe feel comfortable shifting out of this lane entirely, so you can just farm up in the jungle. He's actually going for the Battle Fury build. That's, what, the second time we've seen the Ursa go for that more farm-oriented build-up, so he is going to be able to keep pace with the opposing cores that little bit better, but is going to slow down his overall progression as speed is under attack here in the bottom lane. He was able to find a kill onto Alexa, though, but now Esk is going to come in, looking for the Shackle, connecting onto Viper. They're going to get the Focus Fire into the Power Shot. That's a quick and easy kill for them. Now they want more, but Fade is coming in as well. He's going to blink his way forward. Doesn't want to use the Sonic Wave. Actually, he's put himself out of range mana-wise, but he's able to pop the wand. He does deploy that wave. It only kills Sammy, though, so as high value as they would have wanted, and that's a very aggressive push forward. They're going to cut through the trees as best as they can with the Power Shot, but okay. D9 gets away with one there. He's just able to walk away.
Yeah, it's fairly easy. I think B9 goes for that dive, expecting that Fade has the kill on the Bane already, so they look like they can swing for more, but that's where diving versus a wind is also quite risky. All it takes is a Shackle Shot, and your play is really blown wide open, and then very realistically, you can get traded out instead. But yeah, not the worst, not the best. No real easy tower damage. First game in a while without a DK or a Pugna, so we're not seeing those early tier 1s really be translated as early as we're kind of used to here. Not just that, Devi hasn't really been able to get himself in front of a cart just yet, even though Stonebank gets slept, dodges the Timber Chain. Okay. A whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and Sammy's, I mean, he's 5 now, but if they'd have waited maybe a creep wave or 2, they could have gotten 6. Fiend's Grip maybe changes that up a little bit, but without the Fiend's Grip, that just really didn't turn into anything.
Ooh,
over on the other side, yep, Yamsun. He's going to pop the Phantasm, trying to get himself away from this initiation,
well,
and
guessed wrong.
That's unfortunate.
He did it so quick. He did it so quickly, didn't even think about it. What can you do?
Back up top, though.
Stone?
Needs maybe 1 or 2 more hits, but there's that Chakram that's going to do some nice work. No, it's not, because he's taken down before the damage can come through. Devi will fall. Sammy did as well, as both B9 and Fade. Well, they rush in and they clean that one up. It may come at a cost elsewhere, though, as Yaren will fall alongside Speed as Esk makes the move with the DD rune. So initially that looked fantastic, but now it's kind of a 2-for-2 trade that evens itself out, and this Wind Ranger is only going to get stronger as this game goes on. Javelin's already picked up. We've got... Okay, thought that was another beast. It's just a TP and a Clarity coming out to him, but he's going to be able to start building up some significant damage.
Yeah, and that's where I think Esk is going to be very happy scaling, and it's where, unfortunately for Stonebank, even though I kind of do like the Battle Fury build, as a grip bottom, though,
grip on to speed. Yamsun really is not able to do a whole lot here, actually. That Defensive Nightmare is going to be useful. Alexo now comes in with Mortimer Kisses. That should be enough to take down Speed. Yes, it will be, but it's a trade, and it's a trade that's going DogChamp's way as Fade comes in, drops down the Sonic Wave. It's enough to take Sammy Boy down. Esk, though, is making his retreat, but him retreating means Alexo is just kind of stuck in the middle of this fight. He tries to retreat to the tower, and that is going to work out. Fade doesn't really have any mana left to work with, so Wildcard will get themselves out of that situation, but you still end up losing your carry again in the CK. Hey, I mean, he's got to finish off this item, because right now, when he gets into these fights, he can still do some damage, but he's not getting away cleanly at all.
No, and it's going to bring up wildcard supports. They're so much stronger with their level 6s. We were kind of waiting for their big moment, but it's where, unfortunately, when that grip goes off bottom, it's pretty much a full duration grip, but the Cold Embrace is just such a good answer versus the CK that unless you have really Timbersaw getting involved in, Devi has really not wanted to make that rotation to the bottom lane, and I do agree with him. I think his time is better spent elsewhere in improving his own game. You don't have the damage to really make any kill happen, and all it takes is a few kills, and then suddenly you give up a lot of XP and a lot of momentum. I think DogChamp are actually ahead in terms of XP coming out of that laning stage, and now you are on those hard timers with your supports. It's going to be 40 seconds till we can realistically see Wildcard get aggressive again.
Saw some nice time. Well, Devi just continues to kind of hang out in this top lane, push the creep wave up to the tier 2. No siege cart for him at the moment, so really be able to do too much, but at least he's making a lot of this north side jungle a sort of no-fly zone for DogChamp, and it's going to count for something. Meantime, Esk will farm up in that jungle. He is... At this point, I don't know. He could still make a play, but does feel like he wants that next major item. Speaking of major items, though, that is the Battle Fury complete on Stonebank. So he's already the top net worth hero in the game. That is going to accelerate even further over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and there is a tipping point in this game for Stonebank. I think he gets the Battle Fury because he needs the farm as the root. Overgrowth. Oh.
Okay. He's going to try to come in to help, though. Fate takes a lot of damage, but they still find the kill. S gets taken down, and now Devi Lama kind of just has to back away.
Yeah, kind of a drive-by by him, and will escape. He wants the creep wave. He wants the tower shots. He knows he needs the reactive armor. That's why he can pretty much afford to do this, and they certainly are not very fearsome. Just watching him farm like a madman. But there is a tipping point in this game with that shaker, and oh, the grip. Well,
grip into kisses. That is a pretty straightforward kill. Alexo even has a little bit of duration remaining, so he'll take a camp while he's at it, and is a very solid response.
Yeah, the response that they definitely had to wait for. It's why Esk was going a little bit crazy by his lonesome there, and then why he actually goes down. But now they're out of abilities. It's time to kind of go here, and Devi can certainly do that, though, because they have absolutely no stun. It's where, unfortunately, for DogChamp, unless they find a Yule Scepter or an Atos somewhere along in their lineup, it's all about the curse. It's all about the overgrowth. Without that, they're very sad, to be honest, when it comes to TPing away from you.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot that they can do to stop that. As Yaren looking like he might be a target down here in the bottom lane. Yamson's just going to take the farm, but Sammy could go looking for the actual heroes. At the same time, though, have Fade TPing in, so they could try and turn this around. They've got that wave, but Sammy strikes first. Nightmare's going to go through. That should buy some time for Wildcard to either fall back or get reinforcements, as Devi... That's interesting. Doesn't really have any lockdown himself, so he can't prevent Bloody Nine from getting away, and now he's going to try for a play onto Stonebank. This is really not something that I think he... I think he wants, as he actually misses with that Timber Chain. Alexo has to try and pull him away, and it is going to work, but now... What is going on with this fight? Sonic Wave deployed to get Yamsun out of it, but Yamsun actually just gets pushed onto the high ground, so he is going to try and turn and fight. This is getting very complicated. Sammy's down. Yarn will fall as well. Yamsun's starting to drop low, though, but there's Devi trying to push his way through. Alexo gets the cookie stun. It's not enough to save that CK, but it does now set up Esk. He's going to push his way forward. Finds that first kill. Would really love to go on to Fate as well, but he's got to show respect to that overgrowth as Bloody Nine gets involved. Alexo is rooted up and taken down, and Esk really never got the chance to push back in. He throws a power shot out there at the end, but that's not going to be enough as DogChamp will take that fight.
It's moments like these that I really wish I had a replay button, because what happened to Yarn's curse? I could have sworn that both the CK and the Timbersaw were in it, and it should have just aggroed onto each other, but it doesn't happen. It gets the early timer kind of cut short. That was very strange. That was very peculiar, but at the same time, you know, mid laners survive. I was going to say 5 survive, but B9 gets not only dewarded, but also kind of punched down. At least he got the revenge ward. He actually killed Sammy's whenever he placed it up on the high ground there, but at the same time, need to see a few more of those big items built up. I feel like Fade not going for that BKB as early as Esk is getting his could be a big problem in DogChamp's team fight coming forward here, but that's where Stonebank really is being a little bit of a hero for the team. He's been taking all of the aggression. Took him like 30 seconds to die in that fight because he's just eating so many spells.
He's able to last that a little bit longer as middle lane. Sammy is going to try and make a play here. It's the Nightmare down first. Yarn was able to fall back, though, so they have to be wary of that Winter's Curse. They're trying to maintain some separation, but now Esk is going to come in. They do drop the Winter's Curse down, but they still have the Fiend's Grip. They still have the Kisses, and they will get their kill. Now, they don't really have any lockdown to go after Fade here, or maybe they do. The Shackle doesn't last long, but it's going to be long enough. Alexo then gets in with the Cookie Stun into the Scatter, and they do take Fade down. Sammy eventually loses his life there as Stonebank was able to sort of catch him on that high ground ramp, but they need more, and they are potentially going to get it. That is not a long shackle, doesn't latch. Stonebank is able to just sort of power his way through it, picks up the double kill, and that makes that trade a lot easier to stomach if you're DogChamp. You are able to get, maybe not quite as much gold-wise, but enough to sort of even things out, and you're the team, you're the team that has the Ursa, so push into the pit.
Yeah, it's a really easy movement from Stonebank. Stonebank can not be allowed to find this wind after the wind run's already committed. Esk was trying desperately to escape before. It's where, unfortunately for him, you'd love an item like the Blink Dagger to kind of keep you ahead of that Ursa's rotations, but Roche gets claimed. Now Devi looks like he might go down here. It's a nice Yules, but this is still quite rough here. He's actually going to tick out.
TP. Able to make it away. As you said, he ticks out. He will die now. Sammy's in some trouble as Stonebank's really just kind of running at people, and Wildcard's ability to keep him at arm's length is not really as strong as it appeared to be on paper. They've got a lot of sort of conditional lockdown that isn't working, and even when the lockdown hits, you've got Enrage on Stonebank's side, so it's got an even lower duration, as Esk would really love to burn off that Aegis right now, but doesn't want to go all the way in. He knows that there's heroes nearby, so they have to back off. They sacrifice the tower, and DogChamp are starting to build up a little bit of momentum for themselves here as we hit that 20-minute mark.
Yeah, they're really kind of hitting their stride, and looking at it, I guess, kind of objectively, this Battle Fury on Stonebank, I think, feels a little bit nicer. Maybe preempting how early the BKBs would be coming out of Wildcard, because, well, if you have a Diffusal Blade and they pop BKB, then your Diffu doesn't really end up doing that much, and you still have these same problems. But the end of times here for Wildcard is Stonebank is somehow able to get an MKB or a Scotty. I don't really know what you do at that point. You kind of just die to the bear. You already are struggling to keep him away from you. So much of that pressure is put onto Sammy Boy, but time and time again, I mean, it's a nice grip. You kind of get pause here, but now everybody's going to get taken down here. And B9, he does have his ulti, but I feel like they're going to be able to seek out Devi here, especially with Faye just keep on running at him. He's got the Sonic Wave. Devi's going to make him work, though.
Still trying to make his escape. Fade blinks forward again. There's going to be the TP, and this time he does actually get away with his life, but a weird situation there that he has to run away from in the first place. Is speaking of weird situations, Yamsun spotted in the jungle, and he's just got to run from Stonebank. So DogChamp really do feel like they are hitting a big timing right now, where this Ursa doesn't have to be afraid of really anything. I mean, Wildcard have to use every single stun they have on him with Esk, focus firing him too, perhaps, and then we could talk about a kill, but even if you kill him then, he's got the Aegis. He's coming right back up, so Stonebank is really allowed to play with no fear at the moment.
Yeah, and well, they're trying something in the top lane. Esk is TPing in here, but again, without a Blink Dagger, you really are kind of waiting for your opponents to run at you, and I think getting that reactive shackle when you're trying to get heroes off of yourself, but it's not really happening right now. And Wildcard, this is a smoke, or rather a smoke that's going to dissipate on Devi's Invis here, and I think they probably find B9, but that's where, unfortunately for them, until Alexo gets maybe something like the Blink Shard, doesn't really have that easy playmaking potential. It's where you really are kind of beholden to your Wind Ranger and really just kind of stumbling on kills. It's where it's very clumsy for Wildcard to actually get onto the map.
Yeah, I mean, they find one kill there, but they can't track down Yarn in the tree line, so they could get onto him. That's a pretty easy kill, but just don't have the tools right now to find those opportunities. So doing the best with what they've got. Esk is gonna get pretty close to that BKB right now and could have it finished off in another two. Maybe that's gonna be a difference maker for them. But in the meantime, DogChamp just keep pushing forward. Devi, he will TP himself down here, but he's gonna need some serious backup to actually make this fight happen. The backup is coming though. Alexo TP's in. Yamsun will arrive as well. There's going to be the Yule Scepter. Yarn, though, preemptively pops that ult. It doesn't hit onto any other heroes, but it is going to create a distraction. But now there's the Mortimer Kisses coming in. They've gotten through the first life. Can they do the second? Not 100% sure as Blade 9 gets in. Drops off that Overgrowth. They do get the Fiend's Grip down, though, onto, oh boy, onto Stonebank, but it's almost immediately canceled out. Sammy and Alexo both go down. Devi is now stuck in the middle of this fight, and he is going to get taken down, and his other core basically abandoned him. Once he realizes how many heroes there are, he's got to go, and that is Aegis for 3 kills.
Yeah, really nice trade to get the tier 2, and as we always talking about with Ursa, if you can get these buildings after the kills, it's the order you need to go. You need to kill your opponents and then get the tower pressure done, because you do push that much slower, but hey, the kills happened. They get to do whatever they want, and that's where Wildcard also do not have the best wave clear once this Timbersaw is taken off the board here, and okay, does get the Enrage out from Stonebank, but that's where I don't know if you really want to do this. Esk does have BKB, but if worse comes to worse, there is that Cold Embrace available to him. Don't know how much more damage this Ursa's going to get, but Yarn
Okay.
kind of walked away from his teammate there.
Cold Embrace buys some time. Reality Rift, though, pulls him back in, and, well, it didn't look pretty, and it took a pretty substantial amount of time, all things considered, but Wildcard do eventually find their kill, and that is a pretty massive one. The Ursa no longer had the Aegis, gets caught. Ooh, gets caught out. Sammy. Where's the backup? Who else is coming? As of right now, it looks like the answer is no one really, because Devi can't get here in time. So it is a nice move from your Bane, but it's not really actionable, as Devi is thinking about it. I don't know if he can really do this though.
I don't think his opponents can really do anything either, though. He's kind of just the Timbersaw. They would love to take him off of here, but without the Ursa, we've seen what a Queen of Pain trying to chase him down kind of looks like here. He's just way too hard to put their finger on. You know, Bloody 9, has he overstepped here? Oh, that's tight.
Llama will walk away. Meanwhile, Sammy stole an illusion rune in the so out of his opponent's hands, and Wildcard, we're just kind of taking a step back here, trying to maybe draw this game out a little bit while they pick up some big items, and, well, they have coming their way. They've got the BKB, the Blink, the Armlet up on the Chaos Knight. He wants the... Okay, he wants the Orchid as his next item, so that is not going to do him much more good in terms of durability, but if he can get the lockdown onto some of these heroes, like the Queen of Pain in particular, should still be able to find that kill in the duration of the silence, so... More firepower is the call from the Wildcard side.
Yeah, and, well, you have the Abyssal Blade finished up on the Ursa as well. Stonebank would love to get in on this backline. He'd love to instantly take out Esk, to be honest. That would be picture perfect from him, but that's where they do smoke on the Wildcard side with their ultimates, with their grip. They'd love to lead in with the sleep onto really anyone. You do need to catch 2 at this point, though. Even though Bloody 9 doesn't have his Blink Dagger for just a little bit more gold, you need to find both the Treant and the Winter Wyvern. Otherwise, any play could get blown wide open. Ooh. That's where Yamsun, yeah, they're very torn, and that's the grip on the Fade.
Well, Yarn gets in there with the ult, but they need to be able to turn this into something. Esk is dropping pretty low. He'll pop the BKB to try to run out, and looks like for now he's going to be okay. Fade actually bought back and TP'd in, so he really would love some revenge here, but don't know if he's going to be able to catch up to Esk. They do get a kill onto Sammy, so they don't come away completely empty-handed, but this buyback is not exactly blowing us away here.
Yeah, it's a little bit sad. I'm not going to lie. A little bit unfortunate, but B9.
They got onto speed there in the middle lane, but there's the BKB coming out. Now they're going to try and turn. They've got that Abyssal Blade stun. Yamsun in trouble. He's going to get taken down. Alexo now tries to use defensively, but they're going to go right past him. They really wanted to get onto Esk again, but once they realize they're not going to catch up, they'll turn their attention back over to the supports. But the snap is just going to TP away. So you've got Alexo out of there. Devi is not leaving just yet, but Well, he's been able to dance his way around pursuing heroes 2 or 3 times now, so feels like he should be just fine. And Wildcard managed to get themselves out of there, but the loss of that CK is going to get rough, and now, well, the more firepower route with the Orchid is maybe called into question a little bit. I'm not sure what defensive item he would have gotten there that would have saved him anyway, but it's just not doing much unless he's the one who's starting the fight on his own terms.
Yeah, I really think the Orchid is just a intuition play versus the Ursa, having a silence versus Stonebank, who is actively not getting the BKB, and of course Stonebank doesn't want the BKB. Once he gets that Ags, he doesn't really need to be worried about getting gripped at that point. But that's your punish. If you do get clipped by that Orchid, you can certainly die very, very quickly. At the same time, though, well, bye Fade.
He's got the
Save,
ult, though. That Fade's not dead yet. In fact, Sammy is the one who's going to get beaten to death by his teammate. Yikes. And Sammy with the maybe sarcastic voice line there as they were unable to secure that kill. And Yarn got in trouble, but there's going to be that Cold Embrace. Device still tries to push in, though, so they're going to give this a go. At the same time, Esk was able to find himself a kill onto Speed, so they do turn that into a bit of a trade-off, but now the fight will continue. Stonebank wants to push in. Alexo, you're a little bit too far forward there. He's trying to fall back to the tower, has to use the cookie on himself as Yamsun rejoins the fight, just in time, though, for Fade to throw out the Sonic Wave. Lots of damage being dealt. The CK's just going to try and hold his ground here, do as much damage as he can. And it's a pretty substantial amount of damage. Stonebank is actually going to go down here. S gets that kill. B9 thought about the ult, but eventually doesn't pull the trigger, as his teammates are just going to get run down here. They'll lose Yarn. B9 was able to blink away for the time being, but he has no TP, and Esk blinked a little bit too far there, actually. He's going to try to cut off Lady 9, though, and it will work perfectly for him. He gets the angle. He's going to get the shackle down. Sammy's in there to secure the kill. Let's put it that way. Maybe Esk wasn't going to have the damage for it, so they find really everything that they wanted, and oh, maybe even more. Fade hit by the shackle. Does he have the damage to finish this kill? Not really. Able to just force Fade to fall back, and Roshan has respawned. Yeah, Rosh is back up. Aegis and Shard are available, so Wildcard could swing their way over to the pit as well.
Now we are going to feel it, though. The change in 731C, it's still quite good, but it's also much, much slower on that Chaos Strike. Given previous patch CK, we'd probably just see the Rosh pretty much be dead by now, but that's where the focus fire should mean this is going to be an Aegis, and as we always talk about with Ursa, losing any Aegis is a massive deal. This Ursa's not going to be able to play as confidently, and the smoke comes out just a breadth behind that Aegis actually getting claimed up, and now Yamsun can actually afford to do pretty much whatever he wants, not to mention got the Ag Shard as well, doesn't have to buy it for himself, and that's the Orchid. So this Ursa has to be so much more careful. Stonebank can't really afford to be that far up, and he does change up his build. He is going to get that BKB instead, because that is coming, but still very scary.
Well, Sammy, a little bit of a rough spot here. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get himself out, so he will have to be sacrificed, and he's got a little bit of an extended death timer there as well, so he is off the map for a pretty substantial amount of time, but well, I don't think Wildcard care. I mean, they got what they wanted. They have the Aegis. They got that shard for free, so they're just going to work with what they've got, wait for the Bane to respawn, perhaps. In the meantime, Devi was saying he was pushing out that bottom lane, but he's actually going to TP in, and they are going to try to force something here. Question is, what can they get? Yarn was able to blink away, and now your CK is rapidly losing his health. This is not how you want to use this Aegis, but they don't have a choice. You're going to lose Yamsun right off the bat. Esk did get a nice shackle, though, onto the Ursa. If they could lock him down, finish him off, this trade is already really going to go their way, and DogChamp can no longer fight. They're going to try to back themselves away. There's going to be the Mortal Kisses, though, to get the damage onto B9. He dropped the ult before he died, though, and Speed is going to try to take advantage of this, but he's running out of time. He's just got to get out. BKB starting to wear off, so TP home, which leaves Yaren just stuck in it, as they will finish off the Winter Wyvern. So, well, I said that wasn't how they wanted to use the Aegis, but if they can turn it into a fight like that, that's still going to work out pretty damn well for them.
Yeah, no, it seems fairly simple. And like you said, did lose the Aegis there, but they're going to take those types of kills every single day of the week, and they're really punishing just Stonebank being a little bit behind the 8-ball in terms of these items. Now he's starting to get eclipsed by the CK. It's where, unfortunately, you are an illusion carry versus the Ursa. Unless the Ursa is finding on his way onto you and then staying onto you, you can kind of just ignore him. So many times have we seen the Yamsun escaping on very little HP, still having impacts in the fights, being able to pick and choose his initiation, and I think really him getting his Blink Dagger in a very similar fashion to the last time we saw CK is the turning point for this team. He's just finding so much in terms of those backlines, in terms of actually getting those supports. I just feel like DogChamp are not getting exactly what they want in these team fights. They're not getting that easy order, that easy kill, as B9 does find Sammy Boy, and he does force everybody else to retreat alongside Fade, but is that really going to be enough? And that's your last BKB charge. Actually, no. Fade got his BKB a little bit later. I was going to say that your BKBs are starting to tick down, I think, a lot on DogChamp, even though you still see Stonebank looking at his, and he desperately needs his BKB. He can't really afford to just stay as deep in these fights as he has been, with S just finding so many shackles.
Yeah, that's a priority pickup there for Stonebank. He's about 1,000 gold away from it, so still needs a little bit more time. While he's farming, I Wildcard aren't exactly barreling their way through too many objectives right now as Alexo. Dual Scepter into Blink, keeping him safe for now. Yarn wants to chase with the Haste Rune, but he's not able to get the vision, and Snapfire will walk away from that one, and now there could be a response. Wildcard are starting to bring some heroes over. If DogChamp remain in that bottom lane, they could get turned on.
Ooh, interesting three-man smoke. Okay, they want to find something here in the bottom lane. They're really just playing off of Alexo's word, and if they find Yaren,
Wait,
they're
they
going to
see
go past...
Stonebank, though.
Oh, no.
Shackle, not really doing that much damage, but now Yamsun's going to get involved. They've got the Fiend script. Doesn't last long, though, as Blady9's in there with the Overgrowth, but it's still not going to be enough. Stonebank still falls. Blady9 goes down as well. Fade has to pop the BKB, and he'll blink himself out, but that's just an entirely defensive move, and Yaren got spotted out there in the tree line. Alexa's able to bring him down. So, just when I say Wildcard weren't exactly barreling their way through objectives, they take a fight, they take a tower, they're looking for another kill here in the middle lane as they get onto speed, but Sammy's not going to last long enough to help out. It's down to S to just do it himself, and you can't kill speed off before the TP would complete.
Yeah, not in the cards for that kill, but how many times have we seen a smoke from Wildcard pan out where the Viper simply isn't there? I don't think we've seen DogChamp actually get a full 5-man team fight going in a very, very long time. And before, when you had the lead of the Ursa, I feel like they were feeling a lot more confident with how things were going, but now it feels like they don't want to stay in these fights, as Esk it doesn't have the damage, but blinks, and yep.
Able to sort of preemptively sort of figure out where Fade was going to go, uses his own blink to get right back in front, and well, now DogChamp are in some serious trouble. Those tier 2s are going to start coming under attack. They've lost hero after hero over the last couple of minutes. It's an 11k net worth lead for Wildcard, and they don't really have a whole hell of a lot that they need to be worried about now. Stonebank was kind of the threat, and once he gets this BKB, I think maybe they'll have to show a little bit more respect to him, but for now, if Esk finds that shackle, gets the latch on to anything, then they don't care. They can just handle whatever fight comes their way. And speaking of fights, Speed gets caught in the river. At this point, BKB wouldn't even really help him. Yeah, he's just going to get pulled back in and killed off anyway.
Yeah, there's just this game is getting so much more difficult here. They're gonna look for Yaren as well. They saw him fly in. Devi's gonna see him land. Got the Yules. Yep, it's pretty easy. Man, oh
Nightmare,
man.
Silence, pull in with the Reality Rift, and they're just really taking it to their opponents right now. Wildcard are. They're just hitting their stride, hitting a power spike that DogChamp have been woefully incapable of defending themselves against. I don't want to say that they don't have the tools to survive. It's just that they haven't really gotten the time to use them.
Yeah, it feels like they certainly are running out of time as well. And you look over at Wildcard side, everybody is so high level. Even Alexo, level 23. You don't see that same love spread across the DogChamp side. It really feels like the game has been on pause for them the past 10 minutes, ever since losing that second Roche. Just not a lot of fights, not a lot of smokes, not a lot of area that they've claimed for themselves. Feels like they've really started to fall behind the 8 ball in terms of just simply playing Dota, and I feel like that does begin and end with Stonebank really struggling in the timing, where this Orchid has just more or less ruined him. He hasn't been able to show up in these fights. He hasn't been able to confidently stand up versus that CK. Meanwhile, Yamsun has just been able to farm everything. And again, Illusion Carry versus Ursa, he is going to have more of an effect on the game. He's going to be able to outnumber you. And with Stonebank falling behind and farm, you're not playing with the lead either. It feels like a lot of things are now working against him.
Now this Battle Fury that we were looking at earlier as being such an advantage for Stonebank is still useful, but now it's the item that he had to have to keep up with farm. And I say keep up with farm, that really hasn't happened. So this sort of early item that you pick up that's looking like a luxury is now a necessity, and this, well, this is not what they wanted. Eska's going to just push in looking for this early kill onto B9 to get the overgrowth out of the equation, and now Yamsun is going to make his move. They'll push their way in. Speed, though, activates the BKB, trying to stand his ground. Winter's Curse is going to come in as well, so they'll look to reset. There was a buyback from Bloody 9 as well. He's going to try and get into this fight. Still has that ult to work with, so blink forward, dropping the overgrowth, but the Shackle will still latch. Bloody 9 not dead yet as the Cold Embrace keeps him alive. Fade jumps in with the Sonic Wave, and they are starting to turn this one around. 2 heroes down on the Wildcard side. They're trying to get onto Yamsun here, desperately trying to toggle the armlet. He's not going to be able to do so. And look at all the buybacks coming in. They still have control of the outpost, so they're trying to rush reinforcements onto that outpost. Stonebank, meanwhile, that is a very aggressive maneuver forward. He is completely isolated from his team, and once that Cold Embrace wears off, he does end up paying for it. And if you're DogChamp, ET, that was a one fight until Stonebank just kind of keeps on pushing forward. He gets a little bit greedy, and now they're back on the back foot. I mean, Wildcard had used 3 buybacks in that fight. You were looking okay, and just needed to sort of cool the jets there on the Ursa.
Yeah, and I really do think now there is a win condition presenting itself for a DogChamp. Of course, with the Ursa, you're not going to see them be able to blitz any of these buildings, but that's where when it comes to fighting for this next Roche, keeping it out of the hands of Yamsun is going to be the way that they win this game. If they give him that Aegis, though, it's going to be so much more difficult for them to play. I do think as well, can probably defend at least one of these racks with both the Queen of Pain and the Viper. And actually, yeah, with Yarn's buyback, I feel like they do have to kind of give up on this play. Unfortunately, though, there is the alternative. Wildcard can just check in the pit, and this is a very unlucky timer for a DogChamp. 35 seconds on the Ursa. Don't know if they're going to be able to make the rotation.
I would just like to point out something real quick like here as we go back over to Alexo's itemization and talent choice.
Oh, he's the damage dealer.
Yep. Bill Shredder multi-shot, Daedalus picked up. He is going to start destroying people on DogChamp if they stick around, and this is kind of an issue, right? Because, okay, the Snapfire is building up damage. Let's stay away from her. You really can't. If you try to avoid the Snapfire, then you're going to run right into Esk, you're going to run right into CK. You've got cores with Blink Daggers, so just kind of a pick your poison moment now for DogChamp. No matter what direction you look in, you're going to be dealing with high damage.
Yeah, I feel like it's certainly going to be just yet again another struggle that DogChamp have kind of laid at their feet. Not to mention, I think that was the Ags that was just being forfeited over to Esk, so he just has a free Ags now. He has an undispellable run. So even if you had way back in the back of your mind maybe a nullifier in the works for either the Queen of Pain or the Ursa, not gonna really matter anymore. You know, it's really just everything kind of working against them right now. At least with the BKB on Stonebank, you know, he doesn't have to worry about that Orchid. He will be able to blink in and look for these supports, and very vulnerable supports here. Oh boy. Stacked.
Gonna drop some ults on top of each other. Yeah, that's a little awkward, but they should still clean up these kills.
Okay.
Looking pretty good. Yeah, Alexo drops the My Bad there. They know that they were a little position, and now what can they do in exchange? Esk is going to come in. That's a nice shackle down onto the Viper that they just blow up. Stonebank is actually in a little bit of an awkward spot as well, but he's able to get a bash down. Devi Lama's in some trouble, but Devi is invis right now for just a moment. Not effectively invis, as they don't actually chase after him. They're showing a little bit more respect, but yeah, this is a problem. There's going to be the shackle. It's a Cold Embrace from Yarn that's going to buy a little bit of time, and they are still trying to get him out of here, and it's not going too poorly. They're going to turn onto the CK. They will burn through that first life. What's the move here? Esk wants to go back in. They're looking for Stonebank still. They're going to pull him in with the Reality Rift, but he just won't go down. Look at Yarn staying on that back line, getting another Cold Embrace out there. So the Ursa continues to fight. He's going to pop his ult again. He's turning, looking for the damage onto the Chaos Knight, and Yamsun is just not going to survive this. He will end up going down. He finally kills off the Ursa in the process. That is a very long and drawn-out engagement, and Esk is I think he's going to be okay. Sammy's now going to TP in to make sure, but
Yeah.
well, okay, that's making sure means throwing his own life away there, and honestly, I don't think he needed to. Esk was probably going to be okay, but Esk, look at him. He's trying to figure out whether he wants to go back in again.
This is going to be a little crazy, but the TP will land, and now Speed is the one that unfortunately dies while watching his teammate, even though there was that nice cold embrace. But man, Yarn, he barely misclicked at the tail end of that fight. He ended up cold embracing the Viper as opposed to his Ursa. Ursa was not dead. Ursa was alive if Yarn hits just onto the right target there, but with how long that team fight was going and how hectic everything was, you know, you could forgive a misclick here or there, but Ursa would still be alive. You'd have a much different game, I think, if that doesn't go down. They actually get to farm during this kind of pause in the game here, but instead it's just going to be Esk and Devi taking the map.
Now push their way forward. They don't really have any wards because we're 42 minutes in and they're core heroes, but taking those camps. Alexo's sort of pushing in here as well, helping them out. So control of the map is going to sort of slip through DogChamp's fingers. And once again, they're sort of stuck in a defensive position. But now with all the buybacks that were used, honestly, on both sides there, might see both of these squads sort of be a little bit more selective with the fights that they take. Because now a lost team fight could be a lane of racks if you're DogChamp. They get sort of taken away from you. But said they were going to be selective, but they select right now as their moment to push forward. That's a 4-man smoke without their Viper. Let's see what they can find. Sammy would be a nice and easy target for them, but they would want something a little bit more valuable at this point, but they may not have an opportunity to really get anyone.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be very easily the walk away here. I mean, they could go forward. They could look for something crazy, but no, it's not going to happen. It is still a smoke on smoke. There is still a little bit of duration, especially for the wildcard heroes, but it's where they've still got to be very cautious, but they have this word to smoke to. They love Stonebank's BKB. They'll take that every day of the week. Oh, he didn't react.
Oh boy. Might not just be the BKB here. Stonebank is going to lose about half of his HP right at the start. Meanwhile, Yamsun actually missing Bloody 9 there. They're not able to actually connect onto him. The kisses don't have the range as they come out a little late. Esk, though, oh my god. He's still pushing his way in. Overgrowth is going to be committed. That's even the Winter's Curse coming out just to try and deal with Esk, but if they can find this kill, this would be huge. Esk trying to fight his way through this. Meanwhile, Faye jumped in with the Sonic Wave. It was enough to take down a support, but they need a lot more than that. B9 and Stonebank both taken down. Speed isolated to the north. They're going to drop him down as well, and, well, this is where things are going to sort of start to fall apart. 3 dead heroes, no buybacks available. Sammy was the only one that Fade was able to snipe out with that ult, and Wildcard not really looking to push forward just yet, mostly because they're creep waves. Yeah, they're on the wrong side of the map even.
That's a little bit strange, as Esk is still a madman, finding so many different angles for these shackles.
Oh
but
my god. Ooh, hold up. It's a Hex. Shackle is going to get blocked again. But Device coming forward with a flamethrower, and Yamsun finally gets Yarn there on the back line. He was doing such a good job defensively. They will take him down, and now he's dead for 100 seconds. They don't really have that bailout play anymore, and Wildcard are going to push their way onto objectives, looking for 2 lanes of rack simultaneously, and they should get both.
Yeah, and this is the safer play. They know that these aren't buybacks, though, and if they find a kill here, that could just be the game blown wide open. And
Fade, the stuns. No, they stun lock the crap out of him. They'll find the kill. They're going to go for the tier 4s now. That's going to force out Fade's buyback. The problem is he's the only one of these dead heroes who has his. The other buyback is on the Treant Protector, and B9, I don't really think he's going to be able to do a whole lot there, as they'll lose him, they'll lose Fade, and that's got to be the game. Tier 4 towers will fall. Bloody 9 bought back. Not a whole lot that he can do about this, as he'll simply be taken down again. Wildcard are going to pull through. There was a moment there where we were sort of questioning whether they were going to be able to deal with this DogChamp lineup, but they don't panic, they regroup, they get it done, and they get the 2-0 sweep.
yeah, I think they did a fantastic job here. This game certainly took a little bit longer, and as we've seen, even in the TMM Noun series, if you have a stellar performance on an individual, you can certainly carry your team for a period of time. But that's where, yet again, I think in this situation, the more solid squad just prevails, even though it takes a little bit longer, even though you have to itemize or maybe change your game plan a little bit, and maybe you give up a few kills here and there, a few lost team fights. Usually, the team, though, that has that expectation, who has really just a few more things going for it, I think in this game, it was only Stonebank for a while there. It was Fade every once in a while, it was almost never Speed, and then once Stonebank starts to fall behind, unless you immediately start picking up that slack, and unfortunately, I don't think Viper is really going to be able to pick up that slack. You simply fall behind. You don't get your way back into it. Wildcard always have that option, though. They always felt like they have 3 cores, maybe 4 if you count Alexo.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting build up from the Snapfire on the back end there. He ends the game at 10-4 and 24, so able to contribute quite nicely. And yeah, as you said, it was Stonebank doing it himself for a long time. Fade's overall numbers 12, 6, and 10. That's not going to look too bad, but towards the end of that game, and even in that very last fight in the top lane, we pointed it out. He goes in, he ults, Sammy dies, and that's it. And if your second highest damage dealing hero can kill a Bane and no one else, you're just not going to be able to hold your ground.
Yeah,